everyone. My name is Derek with Aquanut Pool Care, and I have with me Dan. Dan, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Dan Lenz, and I am Vice President of All Seasons Pool Spas and Outdoor Living out of Chicago southwest suburb in Orland Park, Illinois, where it's really cold back there right now. So New Orleans is much more fun, much more warm. I've been in the industry for about 32 years. Started out in service and kind of moved my way up the chain into the position that I'm in. Our company does kind of everything in the industry. We build. We've actually been very fortunate to be one of the top 50 builders in the country for the last 7 years in a row, which is a huge honor for us. We have a fantastic service department. That's the biggest part of what we do in my mind is service. And actually I was downstairs today getting a top 50 service award from Pool and Spa News, so that was really cool too.
Congratulations.
And we also have a brick and mortar retail store that caters to all of our wonderful customers out in the Orland Park area. And our retail store was named as one of the Aqua 100 from Aqua Magazine this past year as well. So we kind of got the trifecta now. So after all these years, maybe I should retire, call it a day before the wheels come off. But I've, in addition to what we do at All Seasons, I'm involved in the industry quite a bit. I'm president of the Midwest chapter of the PHTA, and I also serve on the PHTA's National Service Council. I'm chairman of the council this year, and that council works on things like the manuals that are used for certifying people in our industry. So if anyone's been through a CMS or a CST or a CSP course, those manuals are a conglomeration of efforts from many people much smarter than me prior to me. I have the fortune of coming in at this point and just kind of finding missed commas and stuff, and as things change, as we learn new things, certainly incorporate that into it. Done a lot of work with the education side in the industry. It's one of the things that I really find enjoyable for what I do, sharing the knowledge, all the experiences that I've had through the years, and trying to just help everybody be better in whether it's customers or other professionals, people starting out, people who have been doing it forever. I love learning. I had a conversation downstairs just a bit ago from a gentleman who's been in the industry for over 44 years, and he's got a seminar going on tomorrow. I'm gonna 7:30 in the morning, so I got to get up, but take part in. Wonderful guy out of Canada. That there's so much in our industry, so much knowledge out there that even after 30 some years, I don't ever profess to know everything, and I learn from people like you. I learn from new people coming in, new ideas, new technologies. It's just I love what I do. This is just a fun industry to be in.
Yeah, so you're saying that basically we can all learn and get better and learn more stuff and get smarter.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
the time. It doesn't matter if you've been in the industry for 30 months or 30 years.
No, not at all. And everybody comes to the table with something. We had he's been with us now a couple of years. We've hired a guy that family business out of California, taking care of pools. He moved back to Illinois, came and fortunately knocked on our door, and we hired him right away. And he brought with some things that they do in California, certain products they use, certain equipment they use, that was totally foreign to everybody in our organization. And it's made our maintenance program better, so as much as you get into routines of things, you always want to keep your eyes open for those other opportunities and to gain from others that, hopefully people aren't thinking that they don't need more experience, more knowledge, whatever level they're at. It's just things are evolving continually, new products, new processes, and we want to keep current with it. So bringing new people in and new blood often offers a lot of opportunity both ways to grow the business. It's great.
Gotcha. So on a softer note, or just kind of a more getting to know you, what do you do for fun?
Travel as much as time will allow. Married, lovely wife, Colleen. She's at home. She was down here actually over the weekend with me. We came down with some great friends and spent the weekend in New Orleans before putting them on a plane and sending them home Monday, as we brought a bunch of employees down on Monday. 2 wonderful kids. My son is a sophomore in college at Huntsville, Alabama, studying cybersecurity.
Awesome.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Very proud of him. And our daughter is a senior in high school, and we're looking at colleges for her and trying to figure out what the next step is going to be. It's a very busy and a little unnerving at times. You know, my wife and I are going to be, a year from now, empty nesters as the kids are both away at college. So that'll be kind of interesting. But we're huge Disney fans. So we get down to Orlando every chance we can, and those that may have seen we actually have a pool. Our in-ground pool is shaped like Mickey Mouse.
I've seen it. It's
we
awesome.
built that, and sort of came about in a weird way. We built a new home, and we're gonna build a pool. And flipping through pictures, this was a number of years back. It didn't have iPads back then, so we have pictures, and we had built a lagoon-shaped pool a year or 2 prior for a client, and my wife, as we're flipping through, she says, "Oh, that kind of look at it the right way. It looks like Mickey Mouse." And we're going through, and I said, "Hey, wait a minute. You want to? Let's do Mickey Mouse." "You can't do Mickey Mouse." Challenge accepted. So we built Mickey Mouse, and then as we spray painted him in the yard, it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and Mickey Mouse is over 1,100 square feet of surface area of in-ground swimming pool in our backyard. But I'm sure the astronauts probably get a view of Mickey if the clouds are clear on a day.
Yeah.
But Disney's a big thing. We love going down there, love spending time with the kids, and that's our fun, is family and travel.
Cool. If you were a superhero, who would you be and why?
Superman has always been the one. Always. To fly. How cool would it be to fly? Right?
Yeah.
That would be so cool. It would be Superman. And no one knows who you are, right? So you pop into a phone booth. There aren't phone booths anymore. I wonder what you do today.
I don't know, because I
haven't seen a phone booth, and I can't tell you how long.
Now, in New Orleans, I've seen 2 payphones, but they were both more like works of art.
Oh, yeah.
Like one was spray painted a couple of different colors. There was no
Sure.
receiver, but neither one of them worked. So I don't know. Maybe he jumps into a bathroom now.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Jumping right into the industry, what are you most excited right now? What's got you going?
I think our industry, especially on the service side of things, on construction as well, but definitely on the service side of things, has reached a point where there is much less me against you, right? As business to business, and much more sharing of experiences and knowledge. I think social media has played such a huge part in that sharing of experience and knowledge, and broken down barriers that used to exist. And even within our own area, through training events that we do in our chapter of the PHTA, I'm a certified trainer for our industry, so I teach those certifications as well as many other members of our board in the Midwest. And we have competitors that come to the training, and we're even at times training, like the guy in the room training the CMS might be a competitor of the next room over teaching a PPSO. But there is no competition. The barriers are gone, and everybody is just trying to make the whole industry stronger by sharing all of the knowledge and experience. And I think that's probably one of the most exciting parts of where we are in the last few years in the industry as a whole.
Okay. So you mentioned that briefly. So explain to the homeowner watching this what is the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance? Why do they exist, and how are they? What are they working towards to benefit the homeowner?
So the PHTA is actually just recently been the merging of two organizations, the APSP and the National Swimming Pool Foundation, two organizations that have had similar but varying goals across the country and actually the world to better our industry. Some of the main focuses of PHTA are education for professionals in our industry and working to develop standards and working with governmental entities to promote water in a safe way. So, as a PPSO or CPO courses are used in, I think it might be 24 states now as certifications. If you're operating a commercial swimming pool, you need to have someone with that certification on staff overseeing the pool operation. And those are both certifications that are born out of the PHTA through its, original organizations, APSP, which was actually NSPI prior to that, and NSPF. So education and government relations are two of the big keys. And certainly events like this where we get into networking and again, more of that sharing of knowledge. And for, there's a vast variety of knowledge in the in what I would say are the professional realm of swimming pool service, construction, and so forth. And when you find companies that seek out actively educating themselves, their employees, and subsequently their customers and clients, those companies always tend to be the much better companies to work with. They're the ones that are going to be around. They're the ones that are going to make your backyard experience the best that it can be. And they're the ones that you really know you can rely on. So seeking out those companies, if it's through an organization like PHTA that has chapters throughout much of the United States. There are some areas where there aren't chapters, and we're always looking to expand on that and add more in those areas. But it's just a way that people are very vested in what they're doing and trying to do the best for your backyard at home and making sure your pool is safe and clean and sanitary for your family and friends.
For my personal knowledge, I have known about all of those organizations for years, but none of them have been active in my state. So is there a website that a homeowner could go on and try to find professionals in their area?
There actually is. The PHTA.org website does have a professional locator functionality of it, where it'll identify members, and it also it'll identify some of the certifications that a member might have. So there are many members that have they're members and may not have achieved certain certifications, but the upper level certifications born out of the old APSP are a certified building professional, a CBP, and a certified service professional, a CSP. And those are sort of the upper tier certifications that everyone is always striving and sort of moving up the different levels to achieve. It's like almost like receiving a doctorate, if you will, in any other kind of a degree. It really means that you've invested and gained the knowledge and the experiences and put it to test to show that you know what it is that you're doing. So yeah, PHTA.org is a great place to start.
Excellent. Going right into my next question is a little bit off topic, but I think it's very important, and you and I both see it in the swimming pool and spa owners group, and that is, what are some of the biggest myths out there in our industry?
Boy, that is such a big question. There are so many myths in terms of I don't need to shock a pool, I don't need to use chlorine, I can use bleach, I can use the Mr. Clean things in my skimmer, right, Andrea? Andrea will see this, I'm sure. To keep my pool clean and algae free. And that's where finding people like yourself is such a key for consumers, because someone like Derek is going to dispel those myths and give people the right path and take the garbage out of the picture. Variable speed pump technology, right? We hear that a lot. Like my 12-year-old single speed, and they show pictures of the pump, right? And this thing looks like it's from the 1930s. It's not, but it's, and they want to put a new motor on that single speed pump. And we, of course, always talk about, well, no, you want to go to a variable speed, or better yet, variable flow pump that is going to save energy and save money and perform better and last longer. And it's amazing. And with that, we're only, 18 months away from that being a mandate, right?
Yeah.
Federal
it's becoming law.
Department of Energy said that by July of 2021, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's it.
July of 2021, our industry is no longer going to be able to sell single-speed pumps that exceed, I think it's 3/4 horsepower. Is that right? Or is it 1?
Caught me on the spot. The exact stuff right now escapes me,
Yeah,
but
it's in that range. But
Yeah.
it's basically going to apply to every pump that's out there for all practical purposes.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
in a year and a half, if your pump fails, you're going to have to go to variable technology, because we can't sell you something that's not variable. And although it has a little bit bigger cost initially to get into, I'm living proof, because on my own swimming pool, when I built it, I had 2 single-speed pumps. Now, we're a Chicago market, so it's, I run from April 1st to November 1st, basically, 6 months out of the year. And after that first pump was 6 or 7 years old, it started getting a bearing noise. And I said, okay, I pulled that one off and I put a variable speed pump in. And that variable speed pump that first season saved me over $450 on my electrical. Just one season. Right. And our electrical costs in Illinois, although Illinois often isn't looked as a place people want to move to, we're kind of having a big outflux of people right now. Our energy costs are very low for electricity. We're paying about 13 cents a kilowatt hour.
Oh, wow.
Where I know areas out west are up in the 40-50 cent kilowatt hour range. So depending on where you're at, I think we have some of the lowest rates, so people can really save a ton of money by going into variable technology. And it's not smoke and mirrors. It's not a myth. That's a reality. The myth that it isn't real is what we need to break. That we should start a Mythbuster.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we do on the Swimming Pool and Owners group. We're Mythbusters. I don't know if you saw the post, but a guy tried to post on the Facebook group about how he only puts in quote-unquote no chemical organic dishwashing pods in his skimmer and puts in soda ash. And he never tests his water, and it's clean all year round.
Right.
And that prompted the video that I did, I'm Busted,
Right.
Just being a little bit sarcastic, but it's just like, it blows my mind what people come up with. And I tell people on a regular basis in my store, as I'm explaining some of the things like variable speed pumps, like CYA and what's happening, and what I inevitably get is I've been taking care of my pool for 20 years and you kid don't come in and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with my pool. And I say, listen, 100 years ago, we couldn't fathom having a man on the moon. Mm-hmm. Now we got man on the moon. 50 years ago, we could not fathom being able to pick up a phone and I can call you wherever you are and you can answer, and it's like
Right.
that. 20 years ago, we couldn't fathom being able to go online and purchase groceries. So I tell them, your mobile phone used to be shaped like a brick, and now I've got, this has more technology in it than the first space shuttle, this little piece of thing right here. So I am constantly teaching people, and you probably are too, about how, listen, technology's changing. What we knew 20 years ago or even 10 years ago has been, learned, and we know more now, and the things that we thought we knew, we simply didn't. So we are learning more. And organizations like the Pool and Hot Tub Alliance educate people. So going into that, just playing right off of that, why would a homeowner want to hire somebody that has been through an education that's going to, like the New Orleans show where there's a bunch of vendors, pay him 20% more than the guy who just trying to make some weekend dollars?
Yeah, price is always a concern for everybody. Everybody, money is a driving factor in everything we do. But and we tend to, in our market, be far from the cheapest guy in town. And I don't know that I would say I'm proud of that, but I am proud of that because the reason we're not is all of the staff and the training that they've been through. At this event, we've got a dozen of our people down here all week long bettering themselves. And that costs money. And at the end of the day, we probably have less money in the bank than the cheapest guy in town. Often the cheapest guy in town is working out of his home, so he has very little or almost no overhead. He often is not as well trained as he could be. I'm sure they are very good at some things, but the full scope of knowledge, I tell everybody that our industry is very unique in that a pool guy is truly a jack of all trades. We have to be capable of doing plumbing, electric, gas, masonry. We deal with so many different things in the backyard. And it's, if you have a problem with a circuit breaker blowing in your house, you call an electrician. And that's what that person does. He's an electrician, or she is an electrician. If you have a pipe leak in your bathtub, you call a plumber. And odds are very high that that person is a plumber. That's not the case in the greatest part of our industry. We have to know everything. And it takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, a ton of resources to take people and put them into a vehicle and send them out to someone's backyard, having a full scope of whatever they're going to run into in that backyard. And there's a lot that I think consumers look at pools often as a simple thing, and they are far from it, right? I mean, we've got really some of the harshest environments of anything you're dealing with. The drinking water coming into your home and running back out through your sewer that you might have a plumber come in and do some service if you have an issue is basically good water. And the water that we have running through the pool with the chlorine in it and the fluctuations in pH and all of the other aspects of what's going on, there's a lot to that makes it much more complex than the water in your house. But oftentimes people understand that if you have a plumber come out, I'm going to pay him $100, $150, $200 an hour to come out and fix that leak under the sink. But when the pool guy comes out to fix the leak on the pump in the backyard, I should only pay him $50. The two aren't they need to be, it needs to be actually the other way, truly, because we need to know so much more when we walk in that backyard.
Yeah, we are plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys, chemist. So, I mean, the chemistry alone is just vast. And that is something that just people kind of take, and they're like, hey, I can just go to Walmart and get all these things, but no, you can't, because if you're only using some simple test strips that are probably not accurate, if they're even still good, because there's an expiration date on all of that, and then you're just putting stuff into your pool based on that. And I mean, I've seen people come into my retail store and they're like, hey, my grandbaby's got rashes all over their body, and I test their water and their pH is so low that it doesn't even register on my system. It's just it's crazy. So you're absolutely right. We do need to know a whole lot more as far as scope of field. Now, an electrician knows a lot of what he does that we never touch.
Sure.
Okay. And then, plumbers, they know about what they do, hot, cold, but we never touch that. But we are touching plumbing, 1.5 2 inch, 2.5 inch plumbing, and we have to make sure that those pipes maintain proper pressure. It could be anywhere between 15 and 40 psi going into those pumps, and then we have flow rates, and we have to take into account all of that. And I'm definitely not downing any plumber or electrician, because those guys are absolutely awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any professional trade is worth their weight in gold. That's what keeps the world turning, right? But the pool guy is definitely no less valuable than the plumber, the electrician, the auto mechanic, you name it. I mean, we're right in there with it, and as such, you get what you pay for, right? And paying a higher price often saves you money in the end.
That is a great point. Bouncing right off of that, what are some of the biggest problems affecting pool owners today, and how do we help them get the results that they want?
Yeah, our focus always tends to boil back down to water quality, water chemistry. And we see people that come into our store, or that we go to their homes to help them with issues, all too often finding where the water has not been well maintained. Maybe it's clear, but it's extremely acidic, and it causes damage to their plaster finish, to their vinyl liner even. Mostly, a lot of people think vinyl liners are not harmed by chemicals, right? And we see all kinds of damage to vinyl in short periods of time because of improper water balance. Heaters that get eaten away, and then copper ends up staining the plaster finish, so you've not only wrecked the heater, but now you've got a pool that's unsightly because of the copper transferring into it. Educating consumers is one thing that all of us professionals do always, right? So I had a conversation recently with actually one of the editors from Aqua Magazine about how our education process of homeowners never ends. It starts at some point in a cycle. Maybe it's in our retail store, or a technician in their backyard, or a phone call, or a pool that we just built, or a spa we just sold. But it's never ending. It's on every touch that we have with somebody, we're trying to educate that homeowner as to, on the service end of things, we're usually only out there if there's a problem, unless it's a routine maintenance call. But if there's a problem, we always want to identify not only what the problem is and what the fix is, but what potentially caused it. Certainly it could be just its age and it's worn out, but all too often, as I said, with the heater leaking because of acidic water, it's something that the homeowner did to accelerate that wear and tear. And if we can educate them so that they don't have that same problem again, that's a key. We do I offer for a better part of the year a pool school where we invite anyone to come in, and it's a lengthy thing because, as you can tell, I talk a lot, right? So it does end up being about a 3-hour investment of time, and it amazes me all too often, we tend to do higher end backyards for our construction department. And we can go out and build $150,000, $200,000, $500,000 backyard for somebody. And when you say, okay, we go and we always do a pool school in their backyard. We build these customized manuals to give them, which shows pictures of their specific stuff. Here's a picture of your valve open, your valve closed, your pressure gauge, how you clean your filter, all the way through water chemistry, everything. And then we invite them back routinely to be part of one of these pool schools. And it amazes me how often people say, oh, 3 hours? I really don't, I can't do 3 hours. They've got a huge investment in their backyard. And for a few hours of time to be better educated on how to maintain it, prevent it from being damaging to itself, they don't want to invest that time. For people that are okay with paying you and me, that's great, because that's why we're here, right? If they want to just have us come out every week and make sure things are perfect, that's great. But all too often, those people don't want to have that kind of cost. And in our market, those costs are much greater than as you get, further south where it's warmer year round. So most people in our Midwest market don't have a maintenance company for their pool. They're doing it themselves. And they won't invest in themselves to make sure that everything is right. And then when things go wrong, it's a frustration for everybody. I really don't want to go out and replace a $2,000 or $3,000 heater for somebody because it's leaking, because they had a water chemistry issue. It's not a fun thing from any standpoint. It's an aggravation that can be avoided easily. So anyway, to your question, I think that's one of the biggest areas that we struggle with is.
Yeah. Water chemistry year round in my area is something that I'm constantly trying to educate the customer on, is why they want to keep their pool running, even though they put a safety cover on it, keep the pool running and keep the water moving. They can put a safety cover on it, that's fine if they want to keep the leaves out or if they got kids or whatnot, but keep the water running, keep the water balanced so that it doesn't damage the surface
right.
of the pool, and it doesn't matter what surface it is, whether it's a gunite, plaster, or fiberglass. If you get a pH of like 5 in that pool and you start to get some thermal layering, that's going to damage the surface of that pool pretty quick. To the heater point, I had a customer had a heater for 3 years. It was just outside of the warranty, but since he was putting tabs in his skimmer throughout the winter time, he had a salt system, but as we all know, salt systems don't work in the winter time when the water temperature drops below about 55, depending on what system that you have. So he was just dropping tabs in the skimmer. Well, the heater wasn't working on the 3rd year, right out of warranty, and I came out and looked, and it had completely eaten the inside of the heater, and he had to bite the bullet and spend another $4,000 on a brand new heater, which a $100 chlorine feeder and testing the water regularly would have saved him.
Right.
So, I mean, you spend $100, you save $4,000.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. And in my market, and again, educating the customer, people have been putting tablets in the skimmer for such a long time that when I say, you need to buy this $100 thing, they're like, you're just trying to take money from me. You're just trying to rip me off. And I'm like, no, I'm not. There's a reason for it. And you start, and some people just don't want to hear that. So if you're out there and you're one of those people, there is a reason why we're trying to sell you a $100 chlorine feeder, and it's not just because we want to make some money on it. To be honest with you, there's not a lot of profit in those.
That's one of those things that for us, same kind of numbers, it's really, I don't want to spend the time sending a technician out to do that because it's such a low margin thing, and we certainly do because it's necessary. but it's not, we're not doing that because we want to make $15 on you. We're doing it to save you that $4,000 heater down the road. And we've had people with brand new heaters in as little as a week's time destroy it from water chemistry.
Oh, wow.
I've seen it in all my years. I've seen it
Wow.
all too often, and I actually bring that up in our pool school and try to impress upon people. And with that too, in our pool school, there's always, as in any group, there's always someone in the audience that knows everything.
Knows more about pools than you do,
Right.
and you've been in the industry for 30 years.
And it often is the guy that says, his wife dragged him in. And he's sitting there saying, you don't have to do that. I put my dishwasher tabs in the skimmer or whatever that is nonsense. And I've been doing it for 30 years and I don't have a problem. But then the wife, on the other hand, says, well, remember, last summer our 7-year-old blonde-haired daughter's hair was green. And he says, well, that's because you had the chlorine too high. That's usually right. Chlorine causes green hair.
Yeah.
No, not chlorine.
It isn't true. Chlorine does not cause green hair.
There's one of those myths.
It is. Myths.
Sure.
Back to
that
myths
point, right?
that we're trying to
So
bust.
no, the copper that is eaten away from the heaters, that ends up dissolved in the water and is absorbed by the hair, and certainly people with blonde hair show it. And that's the cause. So anyway, but to the point, there are very short windows where things can be destroyed. In our market this past year, we had the rainiest spring ever in the Chicagoland area. We had snow the middle of April, which is unusual, measurable, 8 inches or so. Usually we're done with snow by early March. And then we had 5 days of rain every week until the end of June. And those of you may recognize this name, Tom Skilling. He's a weather guy based out of Chicago, but has kind of a national platform. He actually did a study on rain in our area a number of years ago and found the pH of rain for us can range anywhere from about 4.5 to just under 6.0. And we had many days where we were getting inches of rain a day, which I know those of you in Florida see that all the time. You're like, yeah, so what? My guess is that the rain in Florida is very acidic as well. And in your area, I mean, it's acid rain. We all know it's acid rain. It's been talked about forever. But the effect of that on a swimming pool, and because it was so rainy and cold and miserable weather, even people who had their pools open, they were ignoring them. And to your point of put the cover on the pool, but keep running it, keep testing it, keep it balanced in the off season. We have a very drastic seasonality in our market, but the principle is still the same. So they opened their pool in early April, hoping for a warm spring. We didn't have it. They didn't go out and look at their pool. And all of this acid rain destroyed stuff. We had one of the best years in heater sales that we've ever had, because of all the rain in the spring and people that weren't paying attention to their pools. So yeah, you gotta take care of it. The water pools are not meant to be stagnant, and they're not meant to be ignored. And if you allow those things to happen, the wheels come off, and it ends up costing money. And the money is one thing, but I often think, and especially because our season is so relatively short, the aggravation of not having the use of it when you do get those good days to swim.
So I had this debate, I'm going to call it, on one of the Facebook groups. I don't remember which one it was, but I was talking about stagnant water, further south than where I am in South Carolina. And he said, no, my water is not stagnant because I shut the pool off. And in his mind, the word stagnant meant swamp. And certainly a swamp can be stagnant, but when we talk about stagnant, it's just water that's not moving, water
Right.
that's not being filtered. And yeah, you got to keep that water moving. And your market is way different than mine. we, in my market, in the Greenville market, as I say, we are way far south of the Mason-Dixon line. So we really need to keep that water moving.
Right.
Whereas in your area, you're far north, and you're talking about 8 inches of snow in April. If we get 8 inches of snow at any period in the year, it's like the state shuts down.
Sure.
Because we don't know what to
we're
do
still
with
out
that.
building pools and opening pools.
Yeah.
Honestly, we were opening pools in 8 inches of snow because it was scheduled, it was set up, and we were doing it. But that's also, I always tell people our true perfect swimming weather usually starts about Memorial Day and starts to end around Labor Day. Now, in our in-ground markets, I always tell everybody, look, you need to get that pool opened early April, and you need to run it to end of October into November. And most people in turn say, well, I'm not going to swim until Memorial Day. I don't want to do that. And once the kids go back to school, Labor Day, I'm not going to keep it running for 2 months after, that's going to cost me a ton of money. But again, those pools are sitting with no filtration, no circulation, sitting stagnant, as we say, with no chemical balance being maintained, and they're destroying themselves. And I try to educate people. I say, look, plaster finishes in our market should last 15, maybe as long as 18 years. Vinyl liners on in-ground pools should be 10 years, and truly the pools that we build, we see 12 years, 13, sometimes 14 years out of an in-ground liner, which is very good. The average, we replace over 100 liners a year in our business, and the average age is 7. Why? And that's the average. So we've got some that are 12 plus years. That means we've got a lot that are 4 and 5 years to end up at a 7-year average. And I always tell people the difference mostly is what you're not doing when you should be doing. When you're opening your pool Memorial Day, closing it Labor Day, and those other 3 months of the year that you feel it's too costly to operate, that pool is destroying itself.
Right.
And our average liner replacement cost is probably in a $4,500 range right now.
Right.
And if I can take $4,500 and make it last 10 years, or 7, or 5, that's money in the bank. So how much did it cost?
Absolutely.
And plaster's the same way. I've seen plaster finishes destroyed in 4 or 5 years. And it's funny in talking to people from across the country how many people I talk to in Florida say, 5 years is all you get out of plaster.
It shouldn't be.
And when I say we get 15 without even thinking about it, they can't comprehend that. But I do think it goes to the point of, we can get back to the professionalism part of our conversation. A lot of pools in Florida are not professionally maintained. People are using tableted chlorine and not doing anything about controlling pH, and they're etching and eating away at that finish. In the colder part of the year, they shut everything down and just leave it off, right? Oftentimes, maybe it gets so much algae growth in it, when they do decide to start using it, they drain it and acid wash it, which strips away more of that plaster. They're causing damage by not doing simple maintenance things. And with technology today, we'll go back to our variable speed and variable flow pumps. It doesn't cost anything to run those pools during that time. Put them on low speed, it's pennies a day basically.
Yep.
And just leave the thing run all winter long under the cover, right?
Yeah.
Drop those RPMs
exactly.
down and just keep it moving and go out there. I like to tell people twice a week, some people say once a week, and test the water and periodically take some water to a professional to have them validate what you've been doing in the off time.
We do free testing.
Yeah.
And my store is open year round. We do free water testing. We can tell you how to do it. And one thing that and you touched on it briefly, you didn't call it this, but I try to tell people the difference between swim season and pool season. In my area, pool season is 12 months. Now, they're not going to swim unless they're wanting to do the polar bear plunge thing and, jump in to 45-degree water. That's not my thing, but you do you. but swim season and pool season are two completely
Yeah.
different things.
You know what? I love that. And here we are. I'm learning. So that's not part of, I'm stealing that, so you know.
Yeah,
We're going to
steal
start talking about pool season and swim season. I love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's because, I mean, I'll have people see my wrap truck at a gas station in December, in
Yeah.
January, and they say, hey, you do pools, it's cold out, what do you do during the wintertime? And I'm like, same thing I do during the summertime.
We just dress warmer doing it.
We just dress warmer doing it, do a little bit less of it because, people, I don't know if they think this, maybe it's in the back of their head, but it is much more difficult to take care of a pool when you have 100-degree temperatures than it is to take care of a pool when the pool water is at 45
Right.
degrees. So it's real easy to take care of a pool during the wintertime. So even if you have to have you have the cover on and people think, okay, well, I'm gonna have to strip the cover back and it's difficult with the springs for the safety cover. Well, that's not really the case,
Right.
because it's so easy to maintain cold water.
Right.
Whereas the hotter the water is, the harder it is to maintain. And like what you were saying, and I've actually done the math for my area, it is about the same, if not cheaper, to leave the pool open. And when I say open, I mean the water running and you testing it and adding the proper chemicals year round, than it is to put the cover on, or it's even worse if you don't put a cover on and winterize the system. So, blowing out the lines, turning the pump and filter off, because then, number one, you're getting algae.
Right.
You're getting, if you have the cover off, again, that's much, much worse, because you're getting a bunch
Debris
of stuff falling into the pool. And then come around April, that pool is not green anymore. It's just straight up black. So it's going to take about a month to get that puppy right.
Right.
And then it's going to take a lot of chemicals to get that pool back clear again. And that is in addition to the stagnant water that is putting damage on the vessel, the pool surface, all winter long. Now we're having to way overcompensate on the chemical part, which is also damaging the surface of the pool. And you have to take into account that you're getting, an average vinyl liner is lasting 7 years, or a plaster pool, which is even, more pricey, lasting 7 years, and it simply shouldn't be like that.
No, not at all.
I can tell you a story where we have a customer that she insists that her chlorine has to be off the chart. So when she tests, it has to come out dark purple. And she doesn't even test, but it's like a 10 to 15, which is, DHEC says that's unsafe to swim. She replaces her liner every 3 to 4 years.
We love those customers. We've got a customer that we recently acquired. Another company had built a pool and then maintained it for many years, and we also do a lot of outdoor living projects in our construction division. We word of mouth referral. She called us and we did this beautiful outdoor living project, and because of that, we then started helping her with her pool. And we did this outdoor living in the fall after her pool was closed, and she said, okay, so in the spring I want you to open my pool. The pool's already closed. Oh, and I need a new heater. Well, I looked at her heater. It was about a 3 or 4 year old master temp heater. I said, well, why do you need a new heater? What's wrong with this one? Oh, every 3-4 years I need to put a new one in. Why? Well, they just don't last. They wear out and they end up leaking. So, okay, well, she also has an automatic cover, which complicates things even more. Yeah. And we find out that she's putting chlorine tablets in her skimmer, and
there you go.
Whether they're swimming or not, she is putting the same number of tablets, and the chlorine level underneath that cover is skyrocketing. And every 3 or 4 years, she spends, $3,000-$4,000 putting a new heater in, and she just accepts that as normal. So as we started the education process with her, she kind of like a light switch went off. She's like, I've owned this pool for 20 years. You mean I could have had 1 or maybe 2 heaters instead of 6? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And she said, well, that could have almost put my oldest through college. What I've spent on heaters through the life of this pool. I said, yeah. It wouldn't today, but at 20 years ago. So understanding that and educating people is such a key, and having people accept that we do understand the costs, and it's not a matter of trying to get that extra $100 for the chlorinator or get you to come in through the winter and buy a little bit of chlorine or whatever for the pool. It's about the longevity of everything, and I would much rather have you spend money on fun things, buy a big green egg from me, or buy some new pool toys and some new accessories for the yard and things like that, and have fun with the yard. The more pool people that have fun, the more they talk about the fun, and more people then want pools. Where when you have homeowners that just have problem after problem because they're not really doing things the right way, they're going to talk to friends and coworkers and say, "Oh, the pool's a money pit.
My pool's just horrible," and they don't want to spend. They're looking at 2 products that are similar, or 2 pool guys, and I'm going to ask you that question in a minute. And this pool guy is $200 a month cheaper than this pool guy. Well, I'm going to go with this, and it's going back to that knowledge. So I don't know a thing about the company that you were just talking about, but if they had done their job right,
Right.
they basically cost the
Right. And that client in our market, again, we don't have many people that have a maintenance service. Like as you get further south, it's much more common. But the company that built her pool is a company that it runs numbers in terms of pool builders. So in the builder industry, there are a little bit differentiation in some companies. A lot of pool builders like doing the same pool, and they do it very quickly and economically from a cost standpoint. But because that's the way they're established, sometimes at the end there isn't much in terms of educating and perpetually educating the customer. Their focus is the construction end, not the service after the sale. Now they do service, but they're kind of lacking in the consumer education aspect of things. And as I said, she just bought into, well, this is a routine. This is a pool. You have to do this every few years, because they weren't as focused on educating as you are, as many people are. These events, these expos here in New Orleans are such great networking thing and speaking to people with like minds, because there's so many of us here that do understand the repercussions of not paying attention to pools and the headaches it causes. So I'd much rather have people I would love every homeowner to have the knowledge I have and apply it, so that we don't have that aggravation, and it would make everything better, because then everyone would love their pool. No one would say the pool's a money pit. Doesn't have to be.
Wrapping up, I just have a couple of questions. What do you see is the biggest mistakes that a pool pro is making?
I think, and we even have this in our own staff often at times, not taking blinders off when they go into a property. So if you're called out because a pump seal is leaking, and when you're in that backyard, you're focusing on repairing the pump seal, but not noticing other things that may be going on that maybe cause that pump seal to leak.
So true.
Or from a professional aspect, not looking for the potential opportunities that exist in every backyard. Even a brand new backyard has opportunity. It might be opportunity to educate, whether it's educating about taking care of the pool or safety. I can't tell you how many times I've seen 110 volt string of lights plugged into an extension cord draped across a pool, right, with a volleyball net and a basketball at the end, and you know the potential of that string of lights falling into that pool and creating an electrical hazard. And not identifying those things, or noting that when you came through the gate that the gate closed and latched itself as you went through, suggesting strongly that people secure their property when they're not at home and not in the yard, so neighborhood kids don't wander in. And to that point, I've got a story at our own pool. We built in November. The following spring, I opened very early because, of course, everyone's excited and we get it open. It's a new subdivision, a new home behind us. They had 3 boys. I come home one Saturday afternoon after being at the office all day. So I'm at the kitchen sink washing my hands, and I look out and I see in the pool area, and I go out thinking the gate was unlocked, and it's the 4 or 5-year-old neighbor behind us, little boy. I said, James, what are you doing? And with that, I see a football floating in the middle of the pool. This is early April. I didn't turn the heater on in the pool. The pool is probably maybe 50 degrees. He's got a sweatshirt on because it's a cool day. And wow. And I go out thinking my gate's unlocked, and it's locked. And then I look and I see his older brothers and a couple of older friends in their yard trying to not see me, like they're kind of, and okay, hey, you guys, come here. How is James in here? And I get the key out and I open the gate and I say, James, come out here. They're throwing a ball around and ended up in the pool. They lifted James because he was the little one over my 5-foot-high fence into the pool area, so that and when I saw him and went outside, he was at the pool's edge, trying to hit the balls out in the middle, and my pool is pretty wide, but he was trying to get the ball to come to him. I said, you guys, hey, number one, assuming he got the ball and threw it back to you, how is he ever going to get out? You hoisted him from the outside in, but don't do that. That's something bad could happen here with that. So anyway, educating is part of the opportunity, right? We have those opportunities everywhere we go, and then opportunities on how to make things better for them. To your point about a inexpensive $100 chlorinator saving them thousands of dollars later. Maybe you're changing a pump seal and it has absolutely no bearing on the rest of things, but if you see that they've got a bucket of tablets there, how are they putting them in the pool if there isn't a chlorinator? Those bells should go off, and it becomes more opportunity to educate, and certainly to further our business a little bit. But there are always ways that, and again, I see it with our technicians frequently. We get into a mode, right, because we're always so busy.
Yeah.
Our guys work their butts off. We're working 60, 70-hour weeks all, from April 1 to November 1, and then we do work year round. So, we in the winter, we take a break and we work like 50-hour weeks. But, they get into a mode of, go get it done, and don't take the time to smell the roses a little bit and see the opportunities that are out there. So that, to me, that's, I think, one of the big areas that most professionals need to try to do as much as they can.
So you're telling me that it's not just a hole in the backyard I can go swimming in?
It's not the Clampett's kind of
there's more
pool.
to it than
That's
that?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for all of that. So my last 2 questions for you is, what is your company doing to make the backyard experience more enjoyable for the homeowner?
Well, education is the first part of it. I mean, truly, and I've said this through our whole conversation, that an educated pool owner has a far more enjoyable experience with the pool. It's less aggravating. It's not costing them thousands of dollars to fix things, and they're able to use the pool for its purpose, enjoy it, as opposed to it always being, something that just is an irritant. We are always introducing new products that come available. This year we started a whole new service, which is sort of unique to us. We provide mosquito abatement in our service end of the world as well. So, the backyard is another living room, and if we can help make that more enjoyable by keeping the biting mosquitoes away, that is of value to our clients. And actually, it's our first year. We had to go through a bit of a lengthy certification process with the state of Illinois to be able to do this, but we've had great success, customers that just love going outside and not being carried away. Many of our customers are set in wooded surroundings, and a number of them commented towards the end of the year how they could never be outside after 7 or 8 o'clock at night because they'd be carried away. And after introducing this service to them, very quick and easy from our standpoint. We're not disturbing them. We're in their backyard for about 15-20 minutes to do the application, and it lasts for a few weeks, and it does. It keeps the mosquitoes away, so you don't have the potential of disease and just the overall irritation of mosquitoes, and it makes it more enjoyable. So that's just we're always looking for ways of making backyards better, whether it's through the latest, greatest in technology to run the pool, or the most colorful and inviting floats and toys and things like that, or slides. Slides are really fun. From what they used to be 15, 20 years ago, the big blue, fiberglass thing, to what they are today, that's neat. But, for me, it always will be education as a primary way to make it more enjoyable.
For people that are in your area, Chicagoland, how does a homeowner get in contact with you to utilize your services?
Boy, our website is obviously the first place most people go at www.aspools.com, or they can call us at 708-349-2222, or email us, sales@aspools.com. You can also text that 708-349-2222 number. We've got software running on computers throughout the building, receiving texts, and communication that way has changed this way we do business. So,
for sure.
Now someone's in their backyard on their phone saying, yeah, my pump's leaking. Can you send me a picture or a video of it? Oh, yeah, hold on. And then we see it on our computer screen right now. We relay that information to a technician, dispatch him out there, and he's prepared before he ever gets in the backyard. It's amazing. But anyway, those are great ways. Facebook.com/ASPools, YouTube, Twitter, we're all over. Social media is the thing, right?
I'll put that in the show notes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all of those things. If you have any comments from myself or Dan, or something that you believe that we didn't touch on that you think that we should, just leave it in the comments. Comments are always welcome. I'll try to answer them. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Dan.
My pleasure.